Hey everybody, how you doing today? Sorry it took me a minute to get going here. Got a few folks in here now. I'm gonna switch over to let's see here. Let's see who we got in here. Oh my goodness. So let's see. We got Efren. Hey man, how you doing? Josh is here and Chris is here. Hey Chris, how you doing today? Hope everybody's doing good. Kevin, hi Kevin. Good to see you. Evan's here. David is here. Lee's here. Good to see you, man. How you doing? We're gonna get into the chat in just a few minutes. I'm still getting everything started. Been recording a lot of videos. I've been through 102. Well, 101 I already have. 101, 102, 201, 202. I'm recording them most of the way through 203. These are the academy levels, and so hopefully 203 will be done this evening. 204 started, and then 3 more levels after that, and then we're good to go. So that's what I've been doing today. What have you guys been doing today? A lot of work going on, or a lot of staying home? Let's see here. Yeah, everything's working today. That's good news. That's good news. So I'm going to check the chat real quick. We're just doing a hangout today. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have, or you can ask anyone in the chat. We are going to talk about the rest of the weekend, all the different hangouts that we have. Let me fix the camera here. Isn't this great, just getting everything fixed on the fly? I can't believe it's all working. So I'm going to go back to the beginning of the chat. Let's see. Efren says, I want to get over the hump. Stuck on the same 5 chords. Hey, that could be a song. Yes. It definitely could be a song. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Getting past playing just the same 5 chords. That's a good topic to get into. And let's see. I'm going to move down a little bit. Evan says basic cowboy chords, the open majors and minors, a few 7ths here and there, and a few power chords. Okay, so we'll talk about kind of the path that you should be working on to make sure that you are building your chord knowledge, not just stuck on the same ones all the time. So that'll be our first time. Let me write that down so I don't get. Sometimes I start reading the chat and we head off in a tangent. So I want to make sure I get back to that. That's a great topic for today. High tech. Stuck on 5 chords. Okay, so that's topic number 1 we're going to talk about today. I know Hal had said in a on Facebook, he had asked about why the patterns, why the scale patterns, naming the patterns, and I'll go through my whole stance. I'm sure some of you have heard that before. Scale patterns. That'll be our second topic for today. So let's keep going through here. Evan's here. David's been racing all day here in Florida. Raining. Okay, well that makes more sense. Yeah, we got it yesterday. I heard you guys are getting some strange weather down there. And let's see here. Josh, smoking a turkey and watching Netflix. That's right, man. Smoking a turkey and watching Netflix. That sounds like fun. I like frying turkeys, man. Fried turkey. Smoking a turkey is good too. I had an electric smoker for a while. That wasn't as much fun as fire. Kevin's working at home today. Me too. I'm working at home today too. Good to see you, Kevin. Hal's here. Hey, Hal. I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna talk a little bit about your question that you put on Facebook a little bit, and then Efren says both practicing when I can. Hal says nice graphics look. Thanks. I made that in Canva 2.5 minutes ago. So I typed in guitar. I didn't have a logo because my logo is made to be over on white backgrounds, my little guitar logo. So I said guitar clip art or guitar logo, and this little thing popped up here. So bam, bam, right into OBS, and it looks all right, I guess. I don't know. I appreciate it. David says, still working my chords, made more progress this week, and now working on chord songs. Perfect. Perfect. That's progress. So we're not stuck on figuring out the issues with them. We're starting to focus on chords. So that's great, David. Great. I'm glad to hear that. I also want to, the other day we were on last Saturday, and David had a cool Star Wars shirt on. I wanted to bring that up. I was going to bring it up on the show, and I forgot all about it. So I was all about that. Josh says I'm trying to work with combining acoustic and electric together at the same time. That's some good stuff right there. That's awesome. Evan says, picking up on where this interval stuff is leading me, it's starting to get pretty exciting. Yeah, it is. It's this kind of goes along with the scale patterns thing that I'm going to talk about for Hal a little bit. And so what Evan is in the 206, I think it is, where we talk about intervals, and the whole goal of that is chords, is being able to take these sounds and make chords out of them in different places on the guitar with different sets of strings, really having to understand a basic amount of chord theory to be able to, have that show up on the guitar right away. The problem with that is, and that's also the problem with this, these earbuds are just not working for me today. I have days like that. I'm sure you've all seen me try and get this. Hey, there we go. Worked out. So what Evan is doing, and also what Chris is doing, is they're starting off, and we're doing some basic chord theory. There's the things that we have to know we're building up so that we can get to really being able to start playing different chords, different shapes around, and be able to create the chords ourselves instead of having to memorize the patterns all the time. We can actually take the notes and say, okay, I need this, bam, I've got the chord that I need. But we need to build up with some chord theory about that. So the first big part is understanding intervals. Chords are intervals. Chords they're stacked intervals. If you look at a major chord, just C, E, and G, the C major chord, the note C, the note E, the note G, you have a major third between C and E, and between E and G, you have a minor third. So that's the formula for a major triad: major third, minor third, intervals, right? And as you manipulate those intervals, you get different types of chords. And then when you get to extensions, you've got wider intervals. It's really fun. It's really fun. So I'm excited for you, Evan. I really am. Just stick with me through this. There are some steps that we have to do to build up to this. Okay, so Josh says, I'm doing an electric smoker. Yeah, that's what I had before. It's raining, so it's the only way. It's occasion season turkey. Though I'm excited to see how it turns out. Man, that's the one thing about this. Doing these at 4 o'clock is about the only time I can do these. So that's what it is. But it's before dinner, and whenever we get food talk, I'm ready to go about that. So okay, Brennan's here. Hey everybody, great to see you, Brennan. So glad you guys are here. And so Mike's here, says, I'm a beginner learning to move melodically from B to A chords and back to B, using 1, 3, 5 notes to start. Need some practice tips on how to transition what might sound good. So let me get the, so let's see. Learning to move melodically from B to A chords and back to B, using 1. Oh, are you talking about arpeggio notes? Is that what you're talking about? You're talking about the 1, 3, 1, 3, 5. you talking about these like B arpeggio? Are you talking about the B to A chord to B chord? And need some practice tips on how to. I need a little bit more information about that, Mike, but I'd be happy to help you. Let me write down your Mike, B to A to B. So that we'll get to that on the third. Master of None. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. And Dino. Hey, Dino. Awesome that you're here. Good to see you. Mike says this is in the key of E and over 4/5 chords, A to B. Okay. I'll work it out in my head. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. So Kevin has been working on blues soloing, learning and developing some licks. Great. Yeah, that's if you're a metal guy, learn some blues. If you're a soul music guy, learn some blues. If you're a country guy, learn blues. That's it's underneath all that stuff. You don't have the trappings of blues. You don't have the style of blues, but once you understand a really, really solid amount of the way blues works on the guitar, other things start to fall in place. How do I know this? Because that's what happened to me. I didn't start off being a blues player. I could care less about blues at first. I liked, I was into Van Halen. I was into, as far as that style of music, I was into like Van Halen, that kind of stuff. But I also like the Police. I like the other kinds of music. I wasn't listening to blues at all. And then I went into, in school, I started playing jazz, which, you know, I was just doing it because it was available, something for me to play. So I was learning all that stuff, but just not getting it. You know, I didn't understand why. And as soon as I started learning blues, everything else fell into place. Oh, this is why we go to the 5 chord, then the 4 chord, and all those kind of things. So blues really can help you with the style of music that you like. Bluegrass, country, tons of blues in that. And so and blues starts from the bottom, 12 bars. And here's once you start, like jazz, a jazz blues is other chords being imposed over a regular 12-bar blues. So you can get more melody in your lines. That's basically what they were probably just playing a 12-bar blues, the early jazz, whoever they were, and wanted to add more music into it. So, okay, so let's see here. That's great, Kevin. Mike says it's really hard to stay motivated this week. Well, let's see. We've all got a lot of stuff going on. A lot of, we're just trying to figure out how to live. And in fact, at this point, we've all we've gotten into a routine. I know my family is in a routine. Work is you're either working or you're not. You either have a lot of time on your hands or not a whole lot of time on your hands. There's no kind of in the middle. The thing that's motivating me is that when I stop and just watch the news all the time, I start to slow down, and not in a good way. So getting the academy going and teaching the lessons on Sundays and hanging out with you guys throughout the weekend and figuring things out, this has kept me moving. So I am of the mindset that when we get through this, I'm going to do my best to be better than I was going into it. I'm going to try and make the most of this time that I can, because this isn't going to last forever. It's not. It's definitely not. It's worst case. If there's the guy in California who has 5 different vaccines, he thinks that all 5 of them work. They just have to be tested. It's a lot of worst case. January, February. So we have to live like this till January. Hey, Um, so worst case, this is gonna be over, and I'm going to be better than I was going into it. That's what I'm holding on to. That's what I'm working for. That's where these circles are coming under my eyes because I'm working hard. And uh, one thing about guitar that I've seen is that if you put the time in and you do it with a heavy uh, skills, working on the basic skills, if you put the time in to make sure that you're building your skills, chords, scales, everything else falls into place. When you go straight to songs and you try to start learning songs that you don't really understand how they work yet, you're right in the rut. But if you start to do skills and you start realizing, okay, what's my playing deficient in? Have I not been working enough? What do I need to work on? And you start bringing those in every day, the songs start to take care of themselves. You start to be practicing. I know it happens to me a lot. I'll practice something and go, that reminds me of this song. Then I go over to that song to check it out. When I check that song out and I work on that song, all of a sudden it makes sense. The skills of the basics that I've worked on makes these other songs make sense. And then the time I spend learning those songs is quicker, and the understanding I have of those songs and how to play over them and how I can actually add some of my own stuff to it makes sense too. So, and that's exciting to me. That's like this whole thing I'm doing, the podcast, which was the first step, this YouTube channel, which is tiny right now. The podcast is a lot more than the podcast. I mean, than the YouTube channel. But we're just going to keep doing this. I'm just going to do it every day, put something out every day, and it's going to grow. But when I started this, the whole reason is I was teaching I had my own studio in Forsyth, Georgia. And I was teaching there. People were coming in, and these are people who tried to learn on YouTube, and they had no idea how to move forward. They didn't know what they were doing. And I couldn't figure out, I'm like, why when on YouTube you can learn anything that you want to learn, why are these people having a hard time? And it wasn't like just one or two people. They might have been they would have been the minority of that. It was a lot of people. So we are going to really get through this, and we're going to have our basics push us forward. And so all of this is, I'm saying, is to really kind of pick you up. There's a path through this, and if you're having a hard time, if you focus on some basics on the guitar, find out what you don't do really well, and work it. By the end of this, just say by the end of 2 weeks. Look, in Georgia here, does anybody know what's going on here in Georgia? Everybody heard about anything? People are out getting their hair cut. And people are out, doing all sorts of stuff. And then, hey, man, if that's what you want to do, that's cool. I'm not saying anything, but this is going to be over at some point, and we're going to be better for it. So, okay, I'm going to go back to the chat. That's how I've been thinking lately. I'm getting more excited as things go on. Okay, so okay. Chris says, just popped a string on my Strat. No harm done, but was enjoying it. Telecaster getting a run out instead. I hope you've got some extra strings. Okay, so Mike was working on the triad notes of the major. Okay, and so let's go to Kevin. Looking for suggestions for loop pedals. Maybe using it for practicing. Okay. So there's a lot of inexpensive loop pedals out now because I'm kind of looking for one too. Most of mine are in storage, and I'm trying to set up a second site for the apartment so I can have two different places to work, depending on what the rest of the family's doing. So I was looking online. Most of the loop pedals you can't get till the middle of May. But there's some for like $30, $40, and if they work, I'd try them out. You know, the Ditto, the ones that I have experience with is the Ditto, TC Electronics Ditto pedal. I had this was my first one I had. It's the one space with one button, and the one button smoke detector. So the one space Ditto with the one pedal is fine at home, fine for practice. I couldn't use it playing out because it was too hard to stop. You have to double click it to stop the loop. So they had the Ditto X2, which has two pedals. I mean, where you can press down two switches. And the first one does all the regular loop stuff. The second one you can set up as just a kill switch. So whenever you're done with loop, bam, it'll shut it off, and then you can start it back up again. That one I used for a long time playing out. I've got a lot of loop pedals on all my pedal boards. They're fine. They don't have enough time. So the big thing about these cheaper ones is to make sure that they will have enough time, several minutes. Is the ones that you want to look for. I know Josh had a cool loop pedal. Maybe Josh will say something in the chat about his loop pedal that he had. Let me go back there. So the Ditto ones work. I also had a really expensive one. I forget the name of it. We won't even get into that. I had one of those Boss loop stations, the big ones that was just way too complicated. But there's one of those cheap ones for practice. Guys, let me know if you've tried any of those cheaper loop pedals. They look good. I was thinking about grabbing one too. But I know for like rock solid, for whatever you want to do, the Ditto X2 works fine. It's not cheap. It's not crazy expensive. It's not cheap either. Okay. It's called the Amun pedal. The Amun pedal was a decent one. So Chris Ross is here. Happy Friday. Hey man, good to see you. Good to see you. Let's see here. So Mike says a B chord equals notes 1 B, 3 D sharp, F sharp, and the A chord A, C sharp, E, 1 3 5 are a major scale of B and A. Okay, I'll come back to that in a few minutes. Chris says check out the Trio, my favorite looper, and it creates a band behind you. Also have basic looper, the Nux loop. That's the one I saw on Amazon. Nux loop chord. Does the job, but rarely ever it's used since the Trio. Yeah, the Trio is a whole different deal, which is pretty cool. Evan says, we appreciate all you do, Lee. Well, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Thanks, man. This is always fun. I was looking forward to Friday. I'm a little excited today. So, Dino. So, okay. Thanks. I'm hungry now. David's okay. We got an update on Positive Grid, the Spark amp, and it says it will be delivered by mid-June. Guess that's why price is still low. And Hal says, nice hangings, got to run, supporting his local luthier and picking up a guitar after a setup. Meeting behind the shop. Man, watch out, man. Watch out, Hal. Don't get too close. Okay, well, have a good one, Hal. Wear a mask. That's right. And yeah, Evan's talking about, yeah, they've opened up a lot in Georgia. Yeah, they do. I know that one of the Start Here Guitar members cuts hair in Georgia, and I saw him on it was on the news or Facebook or something today. He's started up. So I guess if you're taking the right precautions, hey, go for it. So Hal's not going in the store and not touching anything. Yeah. Chris doesn't have any extra strings. but I have extra guitars. That's the important thing. And let's see. Chris says, my friend bought of an Amon looper, which was like my Ditto. Half the price, pretty much the same. 5 minutes, I think. Yeah, I'd try one of those cheap ones. Go to Amazon, just type in looper pedal. And Josh has try out a Rowan Looper 3 for a loop pedal. It's reasonable. He loves it. Yeah, he showed it to me. It was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Okay, I'm caught up on the chat. So let's talk about being stuck on 5 chords. Let's see here. Who was it? That's Ephraim. Was talking about being stuck on 5 chords. Want to get over the hump. And not knowing the specifics of that. Let me see if I can read anything else that would give me a little extra. Basic cowboy chords, open majors, open minors, a few sevenths here and there, and a few power chords. Okay, so if you're doing power chords, then you're starting to move around the guitar a little bit. Okay, your next step's going to be, well, actually, really, what you should do is finish out your open position chords. Make sure you know a good deal of them. That's the first step I would do. But let's say you do. Say you know a good deal of your open position chords. Okay, then you move to power chords because probably a lot of songs that you want to play are using power chords. Then we're going to start doing bar chords. And bar chords is your next step from where you're at. And bar chords is just taking your open position chords and using your first finger as a capo. So here's my E chord, right? You're gonna take your E chord, free your first finger up by switching those around, and start sliding up. What you need to know is you need to know the names of the notes on the low string, because that's going to tell you the name of this E chord. As you slide it up to the fifth, slide it to the 5th fret. That's loud. Slide up to the 5th fret. What would that be? E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A. Boom. You got an A chord. You can test it with the A chord that you already know. Okay. And you can do that really with all of them. Some of the chords work better than the other ones. The A chord works really nice sliding up. But you have to remember, if you slide a chord up, you also have to slide the open strings that you play up as well. So in the chord of E, if you slide that up 3, you're also going to have to slide up those strings that are open. Okay? So I would go through here's the D. These don't get used very much, moving the D chord around. A lot of times you'll see the D chord and they'll leave that open D pedal tone even though it's playing. Those kind of things, you'll see that. But I would take your open position chords, start moving them around. If you've got an acoustic guitar, it's going to be tougher than if you've got an electric guitar. So I always encourage people to use their electric guitar for bar chords at first and then transition over. Or if you've got a nylon string guitar, that could help too. So let's see, make sure we're still going. Yep, we're still going. Hey everybody, do me a favor if you can and hit the like on the video right now. So how you do that is if you're in chat, you just press X on the chat and then you'll have the like right there. And then you can go right back to the chat by hitting live chat on there. But I'd appreciate that. It's going to help these. We're starting off really small. And so every one of our likes can help. Oh, we got some likes. Thank you. I really appreciate that. So being stuck on the same 5 chords, bar chords is going to open up the neck of the guitar. You can slide all of I would do the G. Let's see. I would do the E and A's first. So E, E minor, A minor, and start sliding those up and getting them in different places. Okay. Checking the chat. Thank you, David. I appreciate that. I appreciate the likes. Thanks everybody for liking it. That really helps out. We're gonna get this going. This is fun. I like these hangouts, man. I've got some things prepared, and tomorrow we're gonna have some people. If you want to hang out tomorrow, I know Ellie was one that I missed from last week. He wanted to hang out. But if you want to hang out with me while I'm gonna bring my bias amp plugin up, and I'm gonna start going through some tones and start demonstrating that program. And all I've got is my Strat. I've got 2 Strats here. So, but there is something in it. I think there's something that says that you can. We're gonna check out all the different features on that tomorrow. Okay, so yeah, put a 1 in if you want to join us tomorrow for the chat, Evan. I'm gonna put you down, and I'm gonna in the morning I'm going to get the Zoom thing. I'm gonna get my wallet out, get the money out, and pay Zoom so we don't get the 40-minute cutoff too. So I'm gonna do that in the morning. Dino, okay, Dino's hanging out. Okay. So that was stuck on a 5 chord, on 5 chords. That would be my first step, is to really start and find some easy songs with bar chords. You can just type in easy songs with bar chords, and there's a million stuff out there. David. And also David says, been trying the up-down picking on scales. Amazing how something so small will mess you up. Yeah, you're right. You're right. But that up-down picking, man, is once you start to get it, it's like that when you're always picking down, especially on scales. Think about it this way. Let me back up here so you see. I'm just going to do the first 3 notes here. So if you think about it, and these things aren't important when you're playing slow, but when you're playing fast, when you pick all downstrokes, you're actually doing 2 things. You're picking down and coming back, then picking again and coming back, and then picking again and coming back, and then picking again and coming back, picking again and coming back. You're doing twice the amount of work. If you're playing with down upstrokes, you pick down, up, down, up. See how much work I'm doing? So here's all downstrokes. Down, come back, down, come back, down, come back, down. And here's down. It's an economy of movement. And like I said, it doesn't really matter if you're playing slow. But once we start playing fast, and I know you're going to be wanting to play fast, and you will play fast. If I was playing all downstrokes, I would never be able to do that with a clean sound. So it's one of the things that you don't think about at first. It's worth spending the time. You definitely will get your results for the time that you put in. Okay. Mike says, music memos on iPhone is great for recording and creating quick loops. That's awesome. That's awesome. I don't have an iPhone. I've got Android. But I'm going to write that down anyway because I'm always looking for cool stuff like that. Music memos on iPhone. Great one. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Okay. Josh says Josh wants to too. Okay. 3, 4, 5. So let's have Josh. So let me know if you have too many. I've been on there before. Yeah, I don't I think it'll do like tons and tons of people. I'm going to start doing the first time I did it where whoever's talking pops up. And then last time I tried doing the grid, and I think the grid worked better. So everybody's there, you know, and we're not having that thing where someone's talking and then they go away because somebody coughs or something like that. So, but I think it'll just make a bigger grid the more people we have in. And, you know, I'm not opposed to, you know, trying it out, seeing how many people we can get in that's manageable. So Evan says, put the link on Facebook early and I'll share it around. Okay. Yeah. Well, let me see if I can find it here. I've already got it scheduled and I already have the thumbnail up. So I'm going to try and find that right now. Here we go. There's that. Share. All right, let's go back over here. I've got the link. So that's tomorrow's guitar talk where we're doing the bias amp. And it's already up there. And I'm going to like it. Bam. Okay. All right. So, Efren says, getting my F bar chord down and know my 6/5 notes, making hard progress. Great. That F chord is tough, man, for people. I think more people have probably quit playing guitar because of the F chord than anything else. I know it gets the most reaction from people. The F chord is very similar to the first problem I had with new students, which is fingers hurt. Oh, my fingers. The second, first week they come in, everybody's happy. Second week they come in, oh, my fingers hurt. Oh, my God. And I'm like, 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks. They'll be over. 2 weeks. So did it usually 2 weeks? I never hear that again. F chord is the same. It's got that same amount of upsettedness that's around it, the F chord. And there's just some small adjust. Now, if you've got a guitar, if your strings are that far off the guitar, it's going to be tough to do, right? But if you've got an electric guitar with low action, an F chord just has a few things you need to know. First, get that thumb on the back of the neck. If you grab it like this, you're not going to be able to make all the notes come out clean. Rolling the first finger back so it's on its side, and that puts your other fingers in place, and then building strength on that first finger to press everything down. Those 3 things, and 2 weeks, you got it. All right, let's see here. I'll have to share with Facebook group the apps I've been using for intervals and key signatures. Yeah, please do. I'd love to hear that. Efren says he'd like to join us. Perfect. Now, I don't know, Efren, are you part of the Facebook group or not? If you're not, I won't have a way to get in touch with you to send you a link. So just send me your email. Send it to Lee at playguitaracademy.com, and then we'll just do it by email for tomorrow. David is consistently doing the F chord, trying to work it in progressions, which is much harder than, yep, moving back and forth between the two. And it's in everything. It's even in Sweet Home Alabama. Yeah, I'm not gonna play it. That costs money. You want me to play Sweet Home Alabama? That costs money, man. No. David says, well, at least they name the F chord right. A lot of F words come out while trying to get it done. Yeah. You ever seen that that video that went around, that guy who was trying to learn guitar and he would just like kick it and oh man. I love that. Brennan says, I had some choice words when I learned the F chord. Yeah. I remember a girl who was learning the F chord. She hated it. She's like, I'm just not going to play any songs that use the F chord. And I said, okay, what songs do you want to play? She named some Keith Urban song or something like that. I was like, I guarantee you it's got an F chord in it. She's like, all right, let's check it out. Bam, F chord is in it. So there, it's in everything. You just got to get past it. All right. So Efren says, what's harder, the F or the B, and which one should we master first? I think the F is harder, just because of more strings that you have to push down. And usually the B, because it looks like an A chord, is usually a little bit easier. It also kind of puts your finger, you automatically roll your finger back. You'll see some people try to put their finger flat down for barring these things, and it is very difficult. You have to roll it back. So I would work on the F chord first, and then once you get the F chord, the B will be its snap. It'll be easy. Spend the time on the F chord. It's like time in the trenches. You just have to do it, and you get past it. Evan saw that video. I know. I watch it like 10 times. And there's several different ones too. It's great. That video was, Josh says that video was awesome because the song was beautiful sounding, and then all that anger all of a sudden. I know, man. That guy's got high blood pressure or something. Whew, goodness. Okay. Scale positions. We're going to talk a little bit about scale. This is for how I'm sure he'll look back at this. And for scale positions, I'm going to read what he said. I think it was on YouTube. I'm going to go over to YouTube here. I mean, not YouTube, Facebook. Let's see if I can find it. How common. Here we go. Okay. So, Hal said, hi Lee, I know the internet, I'm going to like this, will give a simple definition, but maybe you can elaborate in a Hangout or podcast. What is the first position, second, third, etc.? Why does it matter? How does knowing or applying positions make you a better guitar player? Do the pros think about or apply positions in their playing? And I'm thinking he's talking about scale positions. And we're going to talk about how they're named, how people think about them, the different ways that people have tried. And this is also in an email that I got from one of the founding members during the week. And last night, right before I was going to bed, I was like, I got to do that email again, get on that email. And I did. So scale positions. First position, second position, third. So basically, here's your scale, right? It's a collection of notes across the whole fretboard. So a C major scale is every note in C on all of the strings on all these frets. If you saw it, it would look like a computer punch out card. It's just a ton of notes. There's two problems with that. To memorize all of the notes of the C major scale on the guitar, it's too much information, one. And our hand usually has a grip of about 4 frets where you can either go up a fret or back a fret. So this is a position, okay? The notes that you need where your hand is. Okay? Efren says, I'll find the Facebook link and get on there. Yeah, it's Play Guitar Facebook group. Here, let's see here. See if I can get it for you. Make sure this link works before I put it in there. Yeah, I'll put it in for you. Yeah, so there's the group. Um, there's our Facebook group. A lot of the people here are most of the people here are all in the group. Um, and so if you just sign up, either Chris or myself will, just say Lee is the host of the Play Guitar podcast. That's the one that lets us know that um, that you're familiar with it, and we'll let you in. Then I'll be able to get in touch with you easy tomorrow. So scale positions, there's just too much information to deal with, and our hand only can deal with one area of the guitar at a time. So these scale positions are made for moving across the neck of the guitar in about 4 to 5, maybe even 6 if you fret boxes. Okay. And that's a scale position. So you take the notes that's in a, let's do C major. It also makes it a little bit easier to memorize. You're not having to memorize all of the different places. Now, we found there's a couple different ways of going about it, but the traditional way is five different patterns, and they all follow each other, right? And they slide. So you could play, if you're in C, if you needed to play all of those same positions, but you wanted in D major, you would have to slide up 2 frets. Take all of those exact positions, slide up 2 frets. It puts all the sharps and flats of the different keys in there for you. It's like a slide rule. So then we have the problem of naming these different scale patterns, and this is the biggest problem in learning guitar on the internet. Is it's not standard. Everybody has their own way of doing it. They've tried to make some sort of standardized beginning part with the caged system, which honestly falls flat after a while. It's a good way to kind of get into scales, but it falls flat. But if you go from one teacher to the next teacher to the next teacher, they'll say, well, this is pattern 1, this is pattern 2. And then they do minor, and they change it all up, and it's completely different. It gets extremely confusing. And I learned, and in fact, even the scale patterns are different from person to person to person that they're teaching them. I was taught these scale patterns that were half, the guy that taught me some crazy stuff that were half the cage shapes and half the 3-note voicings. And it was just disjointed, didn't make any sense. So I had to kind of figure things out myself. And from the most important, the biggest resource that I've had is students, seeing real people in the seat who are having problem or confused, and would tell me why they're confused about scales and scale patterns. And a lot of them is because they learned from 4 or 5 different teachers. They're all teaching it differently, and they're all naming the things differently. So, and the problem is no one's thinking about the goal. No one's thinking about what is going to be the easiest way to deal with these scale patterns when you're in a song. When do you need these scale patterns? When you're playing songs, when you're playing solos, right? When you're playing melodies, that's when you need them. Well, if you talk about this is pattern 1, and then some other person says, well, this is pattern 1, and then that same shape, you know that when you learn a scale pattern, it's not just for major, it's also for minor, it's for all of the modes. We get a lot of different mileage out of these things. That's the beauty of the guitar. You learn one shape and you can get tons of different sounds from it. Well, the problem is, from different teachers, they'll have that same shape, that same group of dots that we learn, and they'll name them different things, which completely pulls the rug out from somebody. That's not what's good about the guitar. What's good about the guitar is we can take a pattern and get 7 different sounds out of it. So they call it pattern 1. right? So pattern 1 in major looks a certain way. And if you go online and see all these different teachers, that same pattern, that same shapes, 4 1 3 4 1 3 1 4 1, in the minor they call it something else, pattern 3 or something ridiculous like that. And that pulls the rug out from under you, because what's effective about the guitar is you can learn one shape and get mileage out of it. You can use the Phrygian mode. You can use the Dorian mode. You can use all the different modes. Depending on the note you start on that scale, you can get a different sound out of it. Did the pattern change? So here, let's see here. Let me get my looper going on. This is the way I think of it. So I'm going to play this scale. It's a C major scale, pattern 1. And I'll talk about why I call that pattern 1 in a few minutes. Now I'm going to play that. Play it over C chord. Okay? It's regular major. Plain old vanilla major. Okay? Now I'm going to take the same pattern. 4 1 3 4 1 3 1 2. Okay? Same notes. I'm going to play it over a different chord. Okay? So now I'm going to play this over a E minor. A different kind of. Same pattern. Does that sound like major? No, it doesn't. It doesn't sound major. It's got almost a Spanish guitar type sound. I went from E using the same pattern. The pattern never changed. So why would I call this pattern 1 in major and then call it pattern something else in minor and something else and something? The pattern is the same. And what's incredible about the guitar is you can learn one pattern, and depending on the note you start from, get all of the different sounds. It's really it's the greatest thing about the guitar. If you've ever played saxophone, if you ever played trombone, or you ever played any other horn instrument, going from key to key in mind, you have to think about so much about all the different the sharps and the flats and all this kind of stuff. We don't have to do that with the guitar. This is what makes this graph paper that we're playing on work well. And the big problem I have about a lot of the ways that not the teachers, people teach their own way, that's fine. It's just that I don't teach like that, is because I know how, when you're on stage and you're playing in front of people and you have a split second to think of these things, because why? The song's going like this. Do you have time to think? No, you don't. You have to be on autopilot, okay? You need to have the easiest way to get the most sounds and to make the best melodies that you can without fighting, a flawed process. Okay, so that's my problem with the way that scales are taught lately. And the caged, the cage gets you to a certain point and then it just keeps you stuck right there. And I'm glad I didn't have to learn caged when I first started, even though there was other problems about how I was taught. Okay, I'm going to go back to the chat here. Okay, so going back a little bit. Kevin just joined last week. Yes, great to have you, Kevin. And I gave some welcome to some new members today. It's the first time I've done it in a while. I used to do it every time, but my schedule has grown considerably since back then. So I apologize if I didn't get a good hello to you when you first joined, Kevin. But I've seen you in the chats, and it's great to see you. Evan says, following Cage will be problematic in the long run if you consider it an actual method. I think it'd be confusing to transition your way. Yeah, it's like a good way for beginners. And David said some very nice things about the group and the academy, and he's doing a great job in Start Here Guitar as well. So for the academy, for the first level, I'm going to have the same stuff that's in Start Here Guitar for level 1. It will just be a different way of paying for it. So there's the lump price for the Start Here Guitar, the beginner's course, and you own it. That's 11-week course, and as long as I'm up and alive and breathing, you've got it. And actually, if I get to the point where, I would give everything to everybody. If it wasn't going to be up, I'd send you the videos or whatever. But the academy is going to have the same Start Here Guitar, the level 101, but it'll be a monthly fee, and if you aren't subscribed anymore, you don't have access to it. So it's be 2 ways of doing the beginner. I thought it was really important to start with the beginner course, and I thought it was really important to have that separate from the academy, because it's a very special time someone's playing guitar, and it's very tricky when you're in what I'm building now, this academy, when I'm having my whole process go from beginner to advanced. It's very easy to look ahead, and that's when you can get into trouble. So I love having that as a separate course, and then if you want the whole thing, it'll open up too. All right. So thank you, David. That's awesome. And Evan says some nice things too. Chris did too. Josh says, Caged is just okay for learning some chord shapes for me, and not even learning all of them that are available where your hand is at. Yeah. Yes, and it's just, there's more. There's a lot more than just the major chord. There's a lot more to these. Dino says, same here. Caged helped me open up the fretboard, but it's not everything. No, it's not. But it's a good starting place. And you can make the case that the 5 shapes is caged. It's what is caged? Caged is a scale pattern. A scale pattern that's connected to a chord or an arpeggio. That's all it is. The problem with that is there's more than just one chord and more than just one arpeggio for each one of these patterns. And so when you're in the mind frame of, well, this is caged and this is the G shape, right? And this is the scale that goes with G shape. Full stop. Where do you get all these? Where do you get what's all those other sounds? Where do those come from? Well, it's not G, so yeah, you guys are right. Cage helped me open up fretboard. It's not everything, but you got to start somewhere. I think it's a good place to start. But I think, to me, a better way to start is to learn the patterns and then go back and learn your arpeggio notes in there, and then have the discovery, hey, there's my A chord. Hey, there's my G chord, among other chords too. But Caged it's kind of catchy and it kind of works. So it's kind of like, all right. Evan says, I agree, Josh. I think This next level I'm at with the intervals and chord theory is going to be the real answer to finding chords everywhere. Right. Efren says, already done. Awesome. Awesome. I'll take care of that when we're all done here. David says, I went from no level to seeing the level and knowing I'm going to get there. Yeah. Yeah. And there's some really, I'm really happy about the playing of a lot of the players in the group and seeing this over time. I'm really happy with the progress that people are making and busting through that like we just talked about, the stuck on the 5 chord system. 5 chords, 5 common chords. Evan says, no, it sounds Eastern. Yeah, it has a little bit of Eastern sound too. And Josh says, I think a lot of people, including myself, have a hard time with what a tonal center is. Yeah, and the easy part of a tonal center is finding that resting note, finding the note that, or the chord that when you play it, it's final. It has the final sound. You can go home and not think about it anymore. There's a lot of times you play and you end up on a note or a chord and it doesn't end. So you don't have that here. So I'm playing, let's see, if I ended the song right there, right now there's tension building. It doesn't feel finished, right? And the longer that I don't play this, G. So I was playing over a C chord and a D chord, right? That's like the 4 and the 5 chord. And I never played the 1 chord. Okay, so there's my tonal center. Everything is around that. So paying attention to those times where things don't feel finished, don't feel final, when things feel like they're up in the air and it's still floating, and bringing tension along with them. That's a good way to train your ear to where that tonal center is. And once you have that, once you can really hear that tonal center, then you can start playing with things a little bit more, making some music. And Josh says, or at least I did, that opened up a lot for me. Yeah, you're playing. I've been really happy with your playing, Josh. I'm enjoying. I'm enjoying the videos when you're sending in the videos, and since you've had more time, you've sent more in, so I've been really enjoying those. And Dino says, so it needs to resolve. Yeah, everything's. It's either tension or release, Moby Plain says, I finally made it, Lee. Awesome. I'm glad you're here, man. I'm glad you're here too. You got it right at the end. I'm going to stay on for a little bit longer just for you. Give another 5-10 minutes. So what level should I start? If you are, so Efren, same 5 chords. What I would do, I have a 102 level. So basically the beginner level, we do the common open chords. We do rhythm a little bit, and we talk about some basic guitar basics. It's a really thorough beginner course. It's worth spending the time and going through it. And I practice every day along with you in that course. But when the academy opens up, the 102 level will be some still open chords here, but a little bit more involved major 7th chords, minor 7th chords, those kind of things. Going more into the seventh chords and then augmented and diminished chords, just finishing out the chords you need to know here, but also working on strumming. And so I don't know how your strumming is. And so when it opens up, you could take a look at you can take a look back through all of them, but 102 is working on the strumming and finishing out those chords, and then the 201, the bar chords, and starting to do some improv in those things. So I'd say you're right in between there, the 102 to 201 something, but I can help you with that later. And Josh says attention is good too if you want it. Don't get me wrong, that's the fun stuff too. So Moby says, when will the Academy open? I'm recording videos. I recorded all day today, and I'm going to have I want to open it with my roadmap complete. There's going to be other stuff too. There's going to be like one-off videos and all sorts of other things, but the core is going to be that going from beginner to advanced and having a daily practice. So at first I'm going to open it up with 2 videos for each week. Each level has 12 weeks in it, and there'll be a training video and a coursework video. One where I teach you what you need to know to learn the week's work, and then the second video is how you should practice that. And so there's 2 of those for each one, and I'm more than halfway through, and I've got the rest of this week and the rest of next week to have them all done. So I should have them all done middle of next week, edit them and get them up, and once we do that, then we'll start the launch. So it's not too far off. In fact, if I can keep going the way I've been going, it may go a lot faster than that. But you know, the founding members have been seeing this. I've been just teaching them one-on-one their videos each week, and that's basically what I'm doing for these. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's neat for me. I keep going back. I just did 204, which was the major pentatonic, and we already learned the shapes of the minor pentatonic in an earlier level, and so the major pentatonic are the same shapes. So you already know the shapes, but it's using them over background tracks. And what I would do is, you know, basically in the class to do it all there. But so last night I did probably 9 or 10 different background tracks to major pentatonics, where you could just play your major pentatonics and it sounds really cool. And I kept how can I find another chord progression that you could play where you just play the major pentatonics and it sounds really neat? And I've worked my way up to doing like a sweet soul blues, and they're just really cool. They're really cool. So I'm really excited about it. It's turning out good. Let me go back here to the chat. So the Academy it's not far off, and I caught a break that I've had this week and then next week with a lot of extra time on my hands. So it's gonna get done. It's just gonna get done. That's all I'm saying. Makes sense, Dina. I'm not trying to confuse you. Yeah, keep it simple at the start, at least for me. So yeah. Kevin asked, Lee, what's the best way to get a hold of you if I have a more detailed question about the Academy? To Lee at playguitaracademy.com. Just send me an email. That'd be fine. Anytime you want. I get emails. I'm backed up on emails this week. I've got a lot of really good emails this week. I don't think the new website has my email on it, and they've slowed down a little bit. But when I had just the Play Guitar Podcast website, it was a little too much to handle. So slow down a little bit. But yeah, it's Lee at playguitaracademy.com, or I've got several email. So question too much. Moby Plain asks, is it too late to become a founder? Yeah, the founding members closed. And basically what the founding members are is they're in the site while I'm building it. And so at first I've made a few changes, but there's 3 parts to it. There's 3 levels to the whole thing. So the first is just going to be the Play Guitar Academy with all the videos and the work, and that's where all of the founding members get their worksheets. Eventually, that's every one of those is going to have 2 videos for each week, along with the worksheet and all those things. So, and then there's the community. But the next level will be just like the beginner's course, where I have daily practice sessions. That's going to take a while to get done. That may be a in the future kind of thing. I want to get this open quickly, but at some point I'm going to have an upgrade where you'll have me practicing with you. I'm doing like a 10-15 minute practice every day. That's going to, like I said, it's going to take a lot, but it's going to be worth it. And then the top level is what the founding members are getting, is that's the video sharing. So you send in a video, and then I watch it, tell you what to work on, and then I send you tell you what to work on the next week. So it's basically lessons that go back and forth. So those are the 3 levels. In the beginning, there'll be 2. There'll be just the coaching, and I'm only going to have limited amount of coaching. But you can get in on that, and it's only going to be in a few weeks or 2. But the founding members, it closed a while ago. Brennan says, I can't wait. I really like the format. Thank you, Brennan. I've been enjoying your videos too. And Dino says, Lee has been a great help in finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you, Dino. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Jean Paul, hey, Jean Paul. How to practice with the visual is most important to me and all the beginners. Yeah, visual, right? Yeah, the Start Here Guitars got it's really working. It's really working. I'm happy it did. I'm happy it turned out that way. And Dino's been really enjoying practicing lately too. Wonderful. That's wonderful. Okay. I didn't get to Mike's question. I've got to go in a few minutes. I really did. I was not sure I understood it. I think you're moving melodically from B to A chords and back to B using 1, 3, 5, the first, the third, and the fifth arpeggios. Need some practice of how to transition. It might sound good. And that's over B chord 1, 3, 5, right? And A chord 1, 3, 5, or major scale of B and A. Are you playing over a background track? Let me see if there was another. Well, B and A are the 4 and 5 chords in E. Let's see here. Okay, there's E. Okay, so those are the arpeggio notes. There's one way I would transition for that. You can do a, so here's E, here's A. You could chromatically go. Or you could do, here's A. I would walk down. So if you're in the A arpeggio, okay, and you made it to the fifth, A, C sharp, E, and you could go back to D. I would go E, C sharp to B, so walk down to the group. I would target those notes. And if you're using A and B, that sounds to me like it's in the key of E. The A is the 4 chord and B is the 5 chord. I would use a E major scale in between them. You can walk up and down the scale, targeting whatever the next notes are. So A, C sharp, E, and you've got B, D, sharp, F sharp. So A, C sharp, B, D sharp, A, C sharp. If you were coming up right on, if you're on A, C sharp, and then the B chord came on, go straight to the third of the D sharp. So target that third. There's a lot of different ways to do that, but a neat one is the root note, adding a little tension by going A sharp, B. I'm just going through different ways of moving through the key of E, and doing some sliding in, doing some blues. I'm kind of going back and forth between. I'm considering each of these chords the 7th chord. So E7, A7, and B7. That brings another arpeggio note in there. So A would be A, C sharp, E, G. G would be the flat 7th. And then B, D sharp, F sharp, A. So that gives more of like a Mixolydian sound for each of them. And then I'm throwing a little blues in there too. So there's a lot of different ways that you can target the notes using like the E major scale, or the E Mixolydian mode, which is just a major scale with a flat 7th. You could go half step in there. I was using some blues things to move back and forth. There's several. So I hope I'm answering your question. Okay. All right. Fire on the Mountain. That is a good song. Thanks. That's what I was trying to do. Yeah. So there you can look back at the video. I did like 5 different ways without explaining it while I was kind of going off there. But I would start slow. I would start with the major scale, just going up and down, targeting those other notes. But make sure you have the chords playing underneath so you can hear the way that works. How those notes sound there. Okay. A lot of hammer-ons in that style. Blue notes as well, flat 3rd, flat 7. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, great. I'm glad I helped. I was hoping I got the question right. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get it. I've been thinking about that smoked turkey that Josh has got going on, and I'm hungry. I'm hungry, so we're gonna go get some dinner going there. But it's great seeing all you guys, hanging out with you. Thanks for all the likes. I appreciate that. That's gonna help a lot, especially when we're this small. Every like really, really helps. So I appreciate that. Thanks everybody for hanging out with me. Thank you, Mike. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Efren. Appreciate that. Jean-Paul, thank you so much. Dino, Brennan, Moby Plane, Kevin. Man, we had some cool people in here today. Of course, Josh and Chris, David. Did I miss anybody? I think I may have gotten everybody there. Hal was here. It was great to see Hal. Evan And Chris here. Chris Ross was here with the trio. Yeah, I'd like to get my hands on trio and do a video. Master of None was here. Thank you for popping in. And I think that's everybody. That's everybody. Thanks, guys. I'm gonna see you tomorrow. We're gonna figure this bias plugin out, and we're gonna have a good time doing it. Okay. See you later, guys. Bye bye.